Peter Diamandis recently hosted a conversation with Uber's CEO. The title of this video, Uber versus Tesla, Robotaxi timelines, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, they're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. Is there even a future in which Uber exists, let alone thrives, after Tesla Robotaxis widely scale? Now, for those who don't know, Peter Diamandis, well-known futurist, very optimistic. He's been on Elon for probably at least a decade. Bro, look after your health. You want to live long, be healthy and vital. It's in line with your missions, which are multi-decade missions, right? More recently, Musk is starting to potentially show some interest in living a long and healthy life. Small steps, though. Anyway, let's get into these clips.
The Robotaxi race is heating up.
Definitely, yes.
And so I'm going to start with the hard question: How are you going to win that race?
Jesus, man, he went straight for the jugular with that. By the way, it's actually an extremely good question. It's a very tough situation for Uber's CEO here, and I do mean that. From my perspective, obviously, I'm a totally deluded Tesla fanboy, right? But from my perspective, Tesla's going to have a massive cost advantage, a massive scale advantage. They're fully vertically integrated. They're going to take the lion's share of the profits here. Human-driven transport as a service is going to get disrupted by autonomy. That much is obvious, meaning Uber's core business today disappears. Now, I have heard Uber's CEO in the past address this question, although it was never put so directly to him. We just want to be a platform. There's going to be lots of robotaxis and we'll be the platform provider. But bro, Tesla's going to be their own platform, make their own hardware, deploy at massive scale, and price extremely competitively, which is going to be a big problem if this is Uber's strategy. Because none of the companies they're hoping to be a platform for will be able to compete with Tesla's cost per mile. And obviously, if Uber's a platform provider, they're going to be taking a fee. So how do they survive? And the answer is, I personally don't know. So let's see how he answers this very direct question.
Well, we are going to win that race with the autonomous community. So autonomous technology and autonomous vehicles, they are increasingly a reality on the streets as we speak. It's been 15, 16 years of development.
Since the DARPA Grand Challenge.
Exactly, with lots of long tails, et cetera. And Waymo is a leader and a big partner of ours in Austin and Atlanta. And what we view is that there isn't going to be this kind of binary outcome, which is either all autonomous or no autonomous. That really the world, as autonomous technology develops, it's going to develop in a hybrid way.
Yeah.
And you are going to have fleets in cities that consist of some autonomous vehicles and then many human-driven vehicles as well. And that ultimately, that transition and the...
So I'm just listening to this response. I noticed Peter just shifted in his chair. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. Uber CEO currently describing the transition, which seems to suggest the final outcome is everyone's autonomous. If not though, in what world would humans still be driving vehicles when in this future? It's dramatically more affordable, equally convenient, much safer to use an autonomous vehicle. Now sure, there will be a transition period, but Uber's strategy can't be, well, we'll help with the transition and then once the transition happens, we're out of business, right? It can't possibly be suggesting that as safe autonomous vehicles have scaled globally, that they're not going to be anything but the dominant form of transportation, right?
The part that we play in that transition, because of the incredible demand that we bring to both human drivers and robot drivers, we will have a big part to play in that transition as well. So we partner with Waymo, but we've got over 20 partners now in the autonomous space, including NVIDIA, for example, WeRide, Pony, Wabi, amongst others.
Let's address the elephant in the room. I don't believe any of these partners have business models, technology, that will be able to sustainably compete with Tesla autonomy at scale, meaning these companies will go bust. So while Uber's CEO is currently touting their numerous partners as a positive, I think the only positive going to come out of all these partners is STD positive for everything under the sun, because being promiscuous is not necessarily a great business model when you compete against Tesla fully vertically integrated with unassailable cost advantage, scale advantage, and technology advantage when it comes to autonomy.
And just like we want every terrific licensed human driver on the platform, we're going to want every terrific licensed robot driver on the platform as well. And we'll be in 15 cities by the end of the year with our partners. And by 2029, we think that we will facilitate more autonomous and robotaxi rides than anyone else in the world.
Mason, do you ever think Elon would come on platform, or is he just, I'm doing it all on my own? He doesn't play well with others usually.
I think Elon's approach typically has been a vertical approach, right?
Yeah.
They even own their own refinery.
This is also true. And again, I just kept coming back to the advantages that Tesla has here. Fully vertically integrated, their own platform, their own hardware, their own software, the full stack. No one else has this. So all other things being equal, which they're not, Tesla has many, many, many additional advantages. But all other things being equal, Tesla has a massive cost advantage that no one's going to be able to compete with. And autonomous vehicles that are reliable, safe, and arrive within a few minutes at most. The only differentiating factor here is cost per mile, which Tesla will be able to determine for the whole industry.
Again, when the day comes when those Teslas are safe with a camera-only approach, we'd love to have those Teslas on our platform as well. We've got tens of thousands of Teslas on our platform now, and some of our drivers use FSD.
Sure.
So we've got a lot of data. It's a great car. It's a safe car. We'd love to work with them. As to whether we will or will not is TBD, but there are plenty of other partners in the space, and we think there are going to be many, many winners.
Yeah.
He thinks there are going to be many, many, many winners. That makes one of us.
So it's a big ecosystem that we're building, and we're essentially working with everyone in that ecosystem. And we think it's going to be another $1 trillion marketplace, and we're very, very excited for autonomous to become a reality, not to also mention that the streets are going to be safer, right?
Yes.
These cars, these drivers don't get distracted, they don't get tired, and we do think that kind of the regulation is coming into place that will make sure that the safety case is one where the autonomous drivers essentially.
The data's in. It's 10 times safer to be in a Tesla on FSD.
The early data certainly suggests that it's quite safe. Now, most of those Teslas have a driver as well as a backup, but there's no doubt that eventually the drivers are going to come out. The human drivers are going to come out.
How do you handle the liability side? You know, when a Waymo gets in an accident, it's very clearly the fault of the Waymo. When something happens on Uber's platform, who's liable there? How do you handle that? Do you have special insurance that navigates that?
So as it relates to on our platform, liability laws are different everywhere, but we provide essentially commercial insurance for drivers, human drivers who are on our platform. And I think that with the autonomous model, more the way it looks is Waymo's, for example, responsible for their own drivers. They are building a software driver and they speak to the safety of those drivers. These cars are very expensive, but we are quite confident that the driver is going to be much safer than a human being. So ultimately, liability is going to come down in the industry and it'll be savings that we can pass on to the consumer, essentially.
Man, that sounds like a mess. Waymo themselves will be responsible for their software. I mean, it makes sense, right? Therefore, Uber won't be offering any form of insurance, liability insurance, for any of their partners, at least by the sounds of it now. So much for being a platform provider. They do offer insurance for the Uber drivers, but they're not going to for autonomous vehicles, which I do understand from Uber's point of view. Not our problem. But of course, Tesla vertically integrated will have their own insurance for their own vehicles. You also noticed that he said that these cars, as in the autonomous vehicles, are very expensive. Now, this is true when you're talking about Waymo or any of the other so-called Tesla competitors, but Tesla's manufacturing Model 3s and Ys today, entirely capable of operating autonomously for a fraction the cost of a Waymo vehicle. They're selling them to consumers for a profit starting in the high $30,000 range, early 40s, and making money doing so. Again, it comes back to Tesla's cost advantage. Still don't see a way companies like Waymo are going to be able to compete sustainably with Tesla over time.
100 years ago, we had this massive shift from horse and buggy to cars. And it took about 15 years to make the transition where 50% of the vehicles were cars. How long do you expect that transition to take where 50% of the cars are self-driving cars, autonomous?
So I do think that in the next 10 years, I think every single new car sold is going to have autonomous driving software on it, and it'll have a sensor stack. The cost of LiDAR is really coming down. The cost of cameras are coming down. So within 10 years, every new car is going to be autonomous ready. Now, there's going to be a huge inventory of existing cars. And the average life of a car in the US is over 10 years. Yeah. So it's going to take a very, very long time. The lifetime of cars, is I guess similar to horses too. Horses can live for a while, but I think it'll take a while for that fleet to turn over. And then I do think that this product, it is a relatively expensive product, right? Today. Now the cost curves are going to come down, and you will see autonomous become a very, very big part of developed markets.
I find it fascinating that, again, he's accurately describing companies other than Tesla having extremely high costs to put the hardware on roads. He's talking about, well, over time, the costs will come down, but Tesla's costs are already rock bottom, and they will too come down. Now, his broader point is on the money, no pun intended. Consumers are very price sensitive. Right now, autonomous vehicles, which are a premium service, most people would prefer not to have a human driver for many reasons, and companies like Waymo do need to charge a fairly high premium to offer this premium service. It's not within reach of most consumers. But this is the whole point. What people have to pay per mile for the service will determine how many people can afford to and will use the service. And this brings us back to Tesla's massive cost advantage. The hardware alone they could manufacture for sub $40,000. The Cybercab is going to be about $25,000 to manufacture. Could be less. So out of the gates, Tesla's going to have a massive advantage. Waymo spending over $100,000 to put a Robotaxi on roads. Tesla today can produce one for, call it, $35,000. Once the Cybercab ramps up, call it $25,000. Waymo's cooked.
But also keep in mind that we operate in 70 plus countries, and a lot of developing markets, autonomous is going to take a while to penetrate.
There was a moment when I did some of the research years ago and looked at that an electric autonomous car could be 4 times cheaper than owning a car.
I think ultimately, we think the promise of autonomous is exactly that, which is it's just not going to make sense for you to own your own car. As these cars proliferate, the cost of autonomous the cost per trip is going to come down. Safety per trip is absolutely going to come up. You'll have your own privacy. You'll be able to have your stuff essentially loaded up in the car in terms of your music or whatever you like. So we do think that autonomous is an enormous opportunity in terms of the expansion of the TAM for both mobility and delivery of all kinds.
So Uber's CEO sees it as inevitable. Autonomy will be the dominant form of transport in the future due to cost, convenience, safety. On this, I agree completely. He's also quite clearly implying that cost will be the driving factor, no pun intended, for adoption. He's right. So then the question once again comes back to, are there any companies out there called Tesla with a massive cost advantage that no one's going to be able to touch? Because if the answer to that is yes, well, guess who wins autonomy and takes the lion's share of the profits globally? Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.